She got stuck in the lift with the CEO his wedding was in 1 hour. And she said, "I wish it were me." Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Let me introduce you to our main character. Emma was just an ordinary girl with an extraordinary dream. She worked as a waitress in a quiet cafe in the city, and though she loved her job, it was far from glamorous. She dreamed of being a successful artist, having her own studio one day. But life seemed to have other plans. On the outside, she appeared to have everything under control. She smiled at the customers, delivered their food with grace, but deep down, she was struggling. Rent was overdue, bills were piling up, and her second-hand dress was her best attempt at looking polished. Emma always told herself, one day, things will change. But that day hadn't come yet. It was a bright, sunny afternoon when she agreed to go on a blind date, a promise she had made to her best friend Jenny. It wasn't that she was looking for love, not exactly. She was just tired of saying no. So, she walked into the upscale restaurant, trying to act confident, though everything about her screamed out of place. Her shoes were scuffed, and her dress was the kind of second-hand find that would have made most women feel self-conscious in such a lavish setting. But she had promised Jenny, so she swallowed her nerves and kept her chin up. Table 7, she muttered to herself, scanning the room. It was a fancy restaurant, with soft lighting and rich mahogany furniture, the kind of place where everyone else looked like they belonged. She spotted a man sitting alone at a corner table, deeply engrossed in his phone. He was impeccably dressed, his dark hair styled perfectly. Emma felt her heart skip a beat. Could this be him? She took a deep breath and walked over. "Hi. You must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you." The man looked up, startled. His gaze met hers for a moment, confused. But before he could speak, Emma, thinking he was just shy, quickly sat down across from him, trying to fill the silence. "I know this is awkward, right? Blind dates are always weird. Jenny told me you might be a little quiet, so don't worry. I can talk enough for both of us." The man blinked, clearly unsure of how to respond. He opened his mouth to say something but paused, glancing at his phone. A message popped up on the screen. His meeting had been canceled. Something about Emma's genuine smile made him hesitate. She wasn't like the polished women he usually met, people who always had an agenda or a reason for being around him. There was something refreshing about her. He smiled faintly. "Right, blind dates are something else." Emma laughed nervously, taking a sip of her water. "Tell me about it. Jenny's been trying to set me up for months, but I've been too busy with work, you know." She continued chatting away, sharing a little about her struggles as a waitress, her dreams of opening an art studio, and how she was just trying to make ends meet. To her surprise, the man, Kevin at least, she thought his name was Kevin, was actually listening. He seemed interested in what she had to say. The conversation wasn't awkward at all. In fact, it was easy, almost too easy. But then, as the conversation continued, Emma's phone buzzed. "Hey Emma, where are you?" "I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Emma's heart sank. She stared at the message, her face turning bright red. She looked up at the man across from her, her embarrassment taking over. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she asked in a barely audible voice. His smile faltered, and guilt flashed in his eyes. "No, I'm not." Emma's stomach churned. She bolted out of the chair, grabbed her coat, and rushed out the door, her face burning with shame. She didn't know what was worse, the fact that she'd sat at the wrong table or the sudden realization that she had shared so much of her life with a complete stranger. The man, Liam Parker, sat there watching her go. There was something about her, her openness, her sincerity, that left him intrigued. He hadn't meant to let the misunderstanding go on for so long. But now, he found himself wishing he could see her again. Why did the thought of never seeing her again bother him so much? The next morning, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the man she had met the night before. The awkwardness of their mistaken identity still burned in her chest, but oddly, she also felt a strange warmth from their conversation. She had shared things with him, things she had never told anyone. It wasn't that she expected anything to come of it, it was just that he had listened, really listened. But then reality hit. She was back in her small apartment, her second-hand dress still hanging in the closet, the bills still stacked on her kitchen counter. Her life was the same. The same struggle, the same paycheck-to-paycheck routine. She had always dreamed of a better life. But now, after her chance encounter with someone like Liam, the reality of her situation seemed even harder to swallow. But what was she supposed to do? Her life was a far cry from the world he lived in. After all, he was a millionaire, probably used to high society, business meetings, and gala events, not people like her. And yet, as she sat at her kitchen table, the thought of him lingered. She could still hear his soft laughter, see the way he had smiled at her, as though he didn't mind the mix-up. She was about to brush it off when her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jenny. "Hey, are you coming to the art show tonight? I know it's been a rough week, but you need to get out of that apartment." Emma sighed. She hadn't wanted to go. She hadn't wanted to do anything, really. But Jenny had been her friend for years, and Emma knew she couldn't keep hiding away from life. She typed a quick reply. "I'll be there." As the evening approached, Emma found herself standing in front of the art gallery, her nerves coming back to haunt her. She had spent hours getting ready, but it still felt like nothing fit. Her dress felt too old, her shoes too worn. Yet, she walked in anyway, knowing Jenny was expecting her. The gallery was filled with the usual crowd, wealthy patrons admiring paintings, sipping wine, and discussing things she didn't really understand. Emma felt completely out of place, but she reminded herself that this was her dream. She loved art. This was what she wanted to do. She just needed to keep going. Just as she was about to leave, her phone buzzed again. It was a text from Jenny. "Meet me at the back. I have someone I want you to meet." Emma frowned. Who could she possibly be talking about? She reluctantly made her way to the back of the gallery. As she turned the corner, she froze. Standing there, across from her, was none other than Liam. He was dressed in a sharp suit, his usual confident demeanor on full display. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. The awkwardness from the night before hung between them, but this time, it felt different. "Emma," he said, a slight smile on his lips. "It's good to see you again." She opened her mouth to say something but couldn't find the words. She hadn't expected this, hadn't expected to see him again so soon. "I didn't think I'd be running into you here," she finally managed, her voice shaky. "I didn't expect to be here either," he replied, his smile widening. "But it seems like fate works in strange ways." The words hung in the air, and Emma felt a flutter in her chest. What was going on? Why was he here? "I'm actually here with my company," Liam continued, stepping closer. "I was invited to support the gallery. It's a charity event." Emma nodded, though she wasn't sure what else to say. She didn't belong in this world, and here he was, standing in front of her, like it was all normal. "So, how have you been?" he asked, his eyes not leaving hers. "I've been good," she answered, though it felt like a lie. "I'm just trying to figure things out." Liam nodded, looking thoughtful. "I get it. Life can be complicated." He paused for a moment before continuing. "Actually, I was hoping we could talk more. Maybe over dinner? I know this is a bit unexpected, but I think we have a lot in common." Emma blinked, surprised. "Dinner? With him? After everything that happened?" She began, but he cut her off with a smile. "I promise, no more mix-ups, just a chance to get to know each other better." Emma hesitated. She wasn't sure what this was, what he wanted, but there was something in his eyes, something sincere, that made her want to say yes. "Okay," she said finally, her voice softer than usual. "I'll go." As they left the gallery together, Emma couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. Maybe things were about to change after all. As they walked to the restaurant, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was all some sort of dream. She had never imagined her life would take a turn like this: dinner with Liam Parker, the millionaire CEO, the man she had mistakenly met just a day ago. The evening air was cool, and the city lights sparkled around them, but Emma couldn't stop thinking about how out of place she felt. She had no business being here. Not with him. Not in this world. "You look nervous," Liam said, glancing over at her. "It's not every day you run into someone from your past in a gallery." Emma smiled awkwardly. "I guess not. It's just, all of this is kind of overwhelming," Liam chuckled softly. "I get it. This world can be a lot sometimes. But you're doing fine." They reached the restaurant, a fancy Italian place, and the doorman greeted them by name. Liam led Emma inside, where she felt all eyes on her. The space was elegant, with gold chandeliers and white linen tablecloths. It was exactly the kind of place she had only ever seen in movies. They were seated at a quiet corner table, and as they ordered, Emma couldn't help but notice how different everything felt. Liam seemed so at ease in this setting, so confident, while she felt like she was trying to blend in with the background. After a few minutes of awkward silence, Emma finally spoke. "So, what do you usually do when you're not, running multi-million-dollar companies?" Liam raised an eyebrow at her, intrigued. "What do I usually do?" He thought for a moment before answering. "I guess I work a lot, but when I do have free time, I enjoy traveling. I've been all over the world." He paused, studying her. "What about you? What do you do when you're not waiting tables and making art?" Emma looked down, feeling a lump form in her throat. "I paint," she said quietly. "I've always wanted to have my own studio, but it's hard, with everything going on in my life." There was a brief silence as Liam processed her words. "I know how that feels," he said softly. "Sometimes you have to start somewhere small, and then you just keep pushing forward." His words were kind, and for a moment, Emma felt a warmth she hadn't expected. It was strange, how comfortable she felt talking to him now. The tension had melted, and the connection between them felt genuine. But still, Emma couldn't shake the nagging feeling in her chest. She couldn't ignore the fact that she was here with a man who had everything, while she had barely enough to get by. "It's just hard," Emma continued, her voice cracking slightly. "I'm not sure what to do. I feel stuck." Liam looked at her with empathy. "I get it," he said, his tone soft. "But you don't have to figure it all out tonight. Just take things one step at a time." They sat there for a moment, the conversation shifting to lighter topics. Liam told her about his travels, the places he'd seen, and the people he'd met. Emma shared her love for painting, the different techniques she enjoyed, and how she'd always dreamed of one day showcasing her work in a gallery. The more they talked, the more Emma realized just how much they had in common, despite their different worlds. But there was still that distance, that invisible wall between them. She was just a waitress, a struggling artist, while he was a billionaire. It was hard to believe any of this was real. Then, out of nowhere, Liam leaned across the table, his eyes locking onto hers. "Emma, I've been thinking," he began, his voice serious but gentle. "I think you should stop waiting for things to just happen. You're more than capable of making your dreams a reality. You just need someone to believe in you." Emma blinked, unsure of how to respond. She started, but Liam cut her off. "I believe in you, Emma. I think you could do amazing things if you just had the right opportunity." Emma felt her heart race. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? She looked into his eyes, searching for any sign that this was all just a joke. But she found none. He was serious. And for the first time in a long while, Emma felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, her life could change after all. The night went on, and by the time they finished dinner, Emma's mind was racing. Liam had been kind, thoughtful, and genuine in a way she hadn't expected. They walked back out into the cool night air, and as they reached the corner where their paths would diverge, Liam turned to her. "I'd like to see you again, Emma," he said, his voice low. "How about we meet tomorrow? I want to talk about something that might be the opportunity you've been waiting for." Emma nodded, her stomach flipping. "Okay," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll see you tomorrow." As Liam disappeared into the night, Emma stood there for a moment, her heart pounding in her chest. Could this really be happening? Was she really about to take a chance on this? The next day, Emma found herself pacing in her small apartment, her nerves getting the best of her. She couldn't believe this was happening. Just 24 hours ago, she had been a waitress at a small cafe, struggling to make ends meet. And now, here she was, about to meet Liam again. The uncertainty of it all was overwhelming. What did he mean by opportunity? Was it just another generous offer from someone who had everything? Or was there something more to it? Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was all too good to be true. She had already convinced herself that nothing ever came easy for someone like her. She was just a girl with big dreams, and not enough money to make them a reality. But what if Liam really did see something in her? What if this was her chance to change everything? The thought made her stomach flutter with both excitement and fear. She was getting ready when her phone buzzed. It was a text from Liam. "I'm at the park, the one near the gallery. Let's meet in 30 minutes. I have something I think you'll want to hear." Emma's heart skipped a beat. The park. It was a beautiful spot, a quiet place where you could forget the hustle and bustle of the city for a while. She grabbed her jacket, quickly checking herself in the mirror before rushing out the door. She took a deep breath as she stepped into the cool, crisp air. The walk to the park was short, but her mind raced with questions. She had no idea what Liam had planned, but part of her was hopeful. When she arrived at the park, she saw him standing near the fountain, waiting for her. He looked calm, collected as always. But there was something different about him today. Maybe it was the way he looked at her. Like he was about to share something important. "Hey," Emma said, her voice a little shaky. Liam turned and smiled, a soft, reassuring smile. "Hey, Emma. I'm glad you came." She returned his smile, though her nerves were still on edge. "Of course," she replied. "So, what's this opportunity you wanted to talk about?" Liam gestured for her to sit on the nearby bench, and she did, her hands fidgeting nervously in her lap. "I've been thinking about our conversation last night," Liam began. "And I really believe you have the potential to do something great with your art. You've got the passion, the drive, but what you need is the right platform." Emma blinked, trying to make sense of what he was saying. "What do you mean?" she asked, her heart beating faster. "I'm offering to help you start your own gallery," Liam said, his eyes locking onto hers. "Not just any gallery, a place where you can showcase your work and the work of other artists. I've got the resources, the connections, and I want to help you make it happen." Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. This couldn't be real. "You're serious?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam nodded, his expression soft but determined. "I've already spoken to a few people in the art world, and they're interested in what you can bring to the table. I can fund the space, help you with the logistics, and even promote the gallery through my network." Emma could hardly believe what she was hearing. Was this really happening? Was Liam, the millionaire CEO, offering to make her dreams come true? She had always dreamed of having her own studio, her own space to create and share her art with the world. But this was beyond anything she could have imagined. "I don't know what to say," Emma said, her voice shaking. This is more than I ever thought could happen." Liam smiled at her reaction, his eyes full of warmth and encouragement. "You don't have to say anything right now. I just wanted to put it out there and let you know that the offer is real." He paused for a moment, his expression turning more serious. "I know it's a big decision, but I want you to know that I believe in you, Emma. I think you can make something incredible happen, and I want to be a part of it." Emma sat there, the weight of his words sinking in. This was the chance she had always dreamed of, the chance to step into a world she had always thought was out of reach. The gallery, the exposure, the possibility of making her art her career, it was all within her grasp. But the thought of actually taking that step, of accepting his offer, felt overwhelming. What would it mean for her? What would it mean for her future? Could she really make this leap, or was she just fooling herself? "I need some time to think about it," Emma finally said, her voice quiet but firm. "Of course," Liam replied. "Take all the time you need. I just wanted to make sure you knew that the door is open." He stood up, offering her a hand. "Whatever you decide, I'll support you." Emma hesitated for a moment before taking his hand. As they walked out of the park together, Emma couldn't help but wonder what her life would look like if she said yes. Could she really take this opportunity? Could she trust herself enough to make the leap into something bigger than she had ever imagined? Only time would tell. But for the first time in a long while, Emma felt a spark of hope. Maybe this was her chance after all. The following days were a blur for Emma. She couldn't stop thinking about Liam's offer, and yet she was filled with doubt. What if she wasn't good enough? What if she failed? But then, what if this was her only chance to finally make something of herself? Each night she lay awake, her mind racing, torn between fear and excitement. The gallery, the space to create, it all seemed so far out of reach, but Liam's words kept echoing in her mind. "I believe in you, Emma." It was hard to ignore the sincerity in his voice, but it was also hard to believe that someone like him, a millionaire with endless opportunities, would truly care about her success. She had always worked hard, but this felt different. This felt like she was being given the key to a world she had only dreamed about. After several days of soul-searching, Emma made a decision. She had to try. She couldn't let fear hold her back. She couldn't keep living in the shadows of what she wanted to do. She owed it to herself to take this chance, no matter how overwhelming it felt. She texted Liam, "I'm ready. Let's do this." A few minutes later, Liam replied, "I knew you would be. I'll set everything up." The excitement that flooded through Emma was almost too much to handle. She hadn't even realized how much she needed this until now. It wasn't just the opportunity to create art. It was the chance to prove to herself that she could take control of her life, that she could make her dreams come true. A few days later, they met again, this time at a small office building that Liam had arranged for her. It wasn't a flashy corporate space. It was simple, but had a charm to it, a place where creativity could flow without distraction. "Welcome to your new space," Liam said with a proud smile as he showed her around. The walls were bare for now, but they were filled with potential. Emma walked through the space, her eyes wide. It was everything she had ever wanted. "This is amazing," she whispered, unable to hide her astonishment. "It's yours," Liam said, his voice warm. "I've arranged for the renovations to start right away. You'll have everything you need, exposure, resources, and the connections to make this work." Emma looked at him, her heart pounding. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," he replied, his tone gentle. "You're already doing it. You've made the hardest decision." Emma smiled, overwhelmed by the weight of the moment. But as much as this felt like a dream, she knew it was only the beginning. The real work was just starting. Over the next few weeks, Emma threw herself into the project. Liam's team helped with the logistics, getting everything set up, from the gallery design to the marketing. But it wasn't just about the physical space, it was about the people who believed in her, who saw the potential she had. Liam checked in often, offering advice and support, but always giving her the space to create her vision. Emma worked late into the night, pouring her heart and soul into every piece of art she created. Each brushstroke was more than just paint on canvas. It was a reflection of her journey, her dreams, her struggles, and her determination to succeed. As the gallery began to take shape, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. This wasn't just her space. It was a testament to what could happen when someone believed in you, when someone saw your worth even when you didn't see it yourself. One evening, as Emma was working on a new piece, she received a text from Liam. "I've invited some people to your opening. It's happening soon. Get ready." Her heart raced. The opening, the moment when everything she had worked for would be revealed to the world. She wasn't sure she was ready, but she knew this was it. This was her chance to show everyone what she was capable of. The night of the opening arrived, and the gallery was filled with people, art lovers, potential buyers, and, of course, the people Liam had invited. Emma stood in the center of the room, her eyes scanning the crowd. She felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She was still that small-town girl who had dreamed of a different life. But tonight, she was more than that. She was an artist, standing in her own gallery, surrounded by the people who believed in her. As Liam approached, he gave her a warm smile. "You did it," he said softly, his voice full of pride. "This is just the beginning." Emma smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude. She couldn't believe how far she had come, how much she had grown. And as she looked around the gallery, surrounded by the art she had created, she realized that the real reward wasn't the success or the recognition, it was the journey, the steps she had taken to get here, and the person she had become along the way. "Thank you," Emma said, her voice filled with emotion. "I couldn't have done this without you." Liam nodded, a look of understanding in his eyes. "You did it all yourself, Emma. I just gave you the push you needed." Emma looked at him, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I'll never forget this," she said softly, and Liam smiled. His eyes filled with a quiet pride. "I know," he replied. "But remember, this is just the beginning." And as Emma stood in her own gallery, surrounded by her art, her heart full of hope for the future, she knew he was right. This was just the beginning. As the days passed after the opening of Emma's gallery, things began to settle into a new rhythm. The excitement of the launch was still fresh. But Emma found herself caught in the whirlwind of running her own business. She had always dreamed of this, but now that it was real, she felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. The gallery was thriving, with people coming in regularly to admire her art and the art of others she had curated. The opening had been a huge success, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. But there was still so much to do, so many details to handle, and Emma couldn't help but feel a little overwhelmed. She was no longer just the girl dreaming of a studio. She was now a business owner, an artist with an actual space, and that came with its own set of challenges. Liam had been a constant presence, always checking in, offering advice, and making sure everything ran smoothly. He wasn't just the millionaire businessman who had made her dream come true. He had become someone she trusted, someone she relied on. But Emma couldn't help but feel a little guilty. She wasn't sure if she was leaning too much on him, if she was relying on him to make decisions for her. She had wanted this, after all. She wanted to be in control, to prove that she could succeed on her own. As much as she appreciated everything Liam had done, she knew she had to take the reins fully. One evening, as she was working late at the gallery, going over some sales reports and planning the next exhibit, Liam stopped by for a visit. "Hey, Emma," he said, walking in with his usual calm demeanor. "How's everything going?" Emma looked up from her work, a smile tugging at her lips. "It's good," she replied, though she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. "Everything's good, but I feel like there's so much to handle. I don't want to keep asking for help. I think it's time I start making all the decisions myself." Liam raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised. "Emma, you've come so far in such a short time. You don't have to do it all alone." Emma sighed, rubbing her temples. "I know, but I don't want to keep relying on you. I want to prove I can do this on my own, without needing someone to hold my hand." Liam watched her for a moment, his expression softening. "I get it, but just remember, no one succeeds alone. It's okay to lean on others. You're not weak for asking for help. You're strong for knowing when you need it." His words struck a chord with Emma. She knew he was right. She had always prided herself on her independence. But maybe there was a difference between asking for help and relying on someone for everything. She didn't need to do it all by herself, but she also needed to trust her own instincts. "Thanks," she said quietly, looking up at him. "I needed to hear that." Liam smiled, walking over to where she was sitting. "I'm always here for you, Emma. Whether it's business advice or just someone to talk to. You don't have to carry everything on your own." There was a moment of silence between them, and Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had never felt this kind of support before, this kind of care. She had always been on her own, fighting for her dreams, but with Liam, she wasn't alone anymore. "I don't know what to say," Emma said, her voice soft. "You've done so much for me already." Liam shrugged, a playful smile crossing his face. "You don't need to say anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing, and I'm proud of you." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had always struggled with accepting praise, but this time, it felt different. It wasn't just the success of the gallery that was making her emotional. It was the realization that she had someone who genuinely cared about her, someone who believed in her. As the evening wore on, Emma and Liam continued to talk, and for the first time in weeks, Emma felt a sense of calm wash over her. She didn't have to figure everything out at once. She could take things one step at a time, and she could trust herself to make the right decisions. And, when the time came, she knew she could lean on Liam for guidance, but she also knew that she was capable of handling things on her own. The next few weeks were a blur of activity. The gallery continued to thrive, and Emma found herself busier than ever. She was booking new exhibits, handling sales, and even starting to teach art classes in the back of the gallery. It was everything she had dreamed of, and more. As her confidence grew, so did her vision. She started to see the gallery as more than just a space to display art. It was a place where artists could come together, a community of creators supporting each other. She was becoming the leader she had always hoped to be, and it felt empowering. One afternoon, as Emma was finishing up a meeting with a potential client, she saw Liam's name pop up on her phone. She smiled, picking up the call. "Hey, Liam," she answered. "What's up?" "I just wanted to check in," he said, his voice warm. "How's everything going?" Emma leaned back in her chair, feeling a sense of pride. "It's going great. Better than I ever expected. Thanks for everything you've done." There was a pause on the other end, and then Liam spoke again, his voice quieter this time. "I'm glad to hear that, Emma. But I also want you to know something." "What?" Emma asked, her curiosity piqued. "I'm proud of you," he said simply. "You've come so far, and I've watched you grow. You've made this gallery your own, and I can't wait to see where it goes next." Emma felt her heart swell. The words meant more than she could say. "Thank you, Liam. That means everything to me." As she hung up the phone, Emma sat there for a moment, her heart full. She had come so far, and now she knew she was ready for whatever came next. As the weeks went by, Emma's life continued to transform in ways she had never imagined. The gallery was not just a dream anymore, it was a thriving reality. Her name was becoming known in the art world, and the success of her gallery opened doors for other artists to showcase their work as well. Emma felt like she was finally in control, finally living the life she had always dreamed of. But as her confidence grew, so did the pressure. Running a business, managing her own gallery, and creating art all at the same time was no small task. Emma found herself stretched thin, constantly juggling responsibilities. She loved what she was doing, but there were moments when the weight of it all felt overwhelming. The gallery was bustling, and the demand for her work was growing. She had people asking for commissions, others wanted her to teach more classes, and the number of visitors to the gallery was steadily increasing. It was everything she had hoped for, but it was also a lot to handle on her own. One late afternoon, as Emma was finalizing a new art piece for an upcoming exhibition, she received a call from Liam. His voice, as always, was calm and reassuring. "Hey, Emma, how's everything going?" he asked. She paused for a moment, considering her answer. "It's going great," she said, trying to sound upbeat. "But, honestly, it's a lot. I feel like I'm constantly on the go, and there's always something that needs my attention. I didn't expect it to be this overwhelming." Liam was silent for a moment, as though he were thinking. "I can imagine," he said finally. "Building something from the ground up is never easy. But you're doing it, Emma. You're building something amazing." Emma smiled, grateful for his support. But the truth was, she wasn't sure how much longer she could keep it all up. "I just don't want to burn out," she admitted. "I don't want to lose my passion for this." There was a pause before Liam spoke again. "You won't," he said firmly. "But you can't do it all alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You've already done so much, and you don't have to carry the weight by yourself." Emma's heart softened at his words. She had always prided herself on being independent, on proving she could handle everything on her own. But maybe it was time to let go of that pride and accept that she didn't have to do everything herself. "I guess you're right," she said quietly. "Maybe it's time I let others help." "It's okay to lean on people, Emma," Liam said with a gentle laugh. "You don't have to carry the load by yourself. You've got a team now, and you have people who want to see you succeed. Let them support you." Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders. It was a simple truth, but it was exactly what she needed to hear. She had worked so hard to get here, but she had also built a network of people who believed in her, and they wanted to help her succeed. She didn't have to do it all on her own. "Thanks, Liam," Emma said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I needed that reminder." After hanging up with Liam, Emma sat back in her chair, reflecting on what he had said. She had been so focused on proving herself that she had forgotten one of the most important lessons of all, that success wasn't just about doing everything yourself. It was about building a community, about letting others be a part of the journey. As she made a plan to delegate some of her responsibilities and bring in more help, Emma felt a renewed sense of energy. She was still the artist, still the business owner. But now she was also learning to embrace the support of those around her. The following days were filled with meetings, as Emma worked to bring in new team members and collaborate with people who could help her manage the growing demands of the gallery. She found a new assistant, someone who could handle the administrative tasks so she could focus on her art and the creative direction of the gallery. With each new hire, Emma felt the burden lighten. She realized that this was what Liam had meant. Success wasn't just about creating a beautiful space. It was about creating a system that allowed her to thrive, while also giving others the opportunity to contribute. As the gallery continued to grow, Emma found herself with more time to focus on her passion, creating art. She no longer felt trapped by the business side of things. She could spend more time experimenting with new techniques, exploring new styles, and letting her creativity flow without feeling like she was drowning in paperwork. It was a balance she had never imagined she would find, but now that she had, Emma couldn't help but feel like everything was falling into place. One evening, as Emma was finishing up a new piece for an upcoming show, she received a text from Liam. It simply read, "I'm so proud of you." Her heart warmed at the words. She had come so far, and while it wasn't easy, it had been worth it. Emma smiled as she read the message, knowing that this was only the beginning. She had built something incredible, and with the support of those around her, she was ready to take the next step in her journey. She was finally living the life she had always dreamed of, and now, she knew she could continue to grow, continue to create, and continue to make an impact on the world around her. And as she looked at the new piece of art she had just finished, Emma realized that her story wasn't just about the gallery, it was about her own personal transformation. She had proven to herself that she was capable of so much more than she had ever imagined. And now, with the support of her team and the people who believed in her, she was ready to take on whatever came next. As the months went by, Emma's life continued to evolve in ways she had never imagined. The gallery was flourishing, and with the new team members she had brought in, Emma was able to step back and focus on the creative side of things. She had always dreamed of a space where artists could come together, share their work, and feel inspired, and now, her vision was finally a reality. The gallery had become more than just a place to showcase art. It was a hub for creativity, where new artists found their voices, and seasoned creators found the support they needed to thrive. Emma couldn't help but feel a deep sense of fulfillment as she walked through the gallery every day, watching people engage with the art, talking about the pieces, and sharing their thoughts. This was what she had wanted all along, a place where she could not only create but also foster a community. Her art had gained recognition, and she was invited to display her work at several prestigious exhibitions. It was a dream come true, but even more than that, Emma was learning what it truly meant to be a leader. She wasn't just the owner of a successful gallery. She was now a mentor, a guide for others who were just starting out, and she found immense satisfaction in helping them succeed. But even with all of this success, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that there was still something missing. She had built this incredible space, surrounded herself with talented people, and found her purpose in the art world. But when it came to her personal life, she still felt a sense of emptiness. Despite her growing friendship with Liam, despite the countless hours they had spent talking about art, business, and life, she realized that her feelings for him had deepened in ways she hadn't expected. She had never imagined that someone like him, so successful and driven, would become such an important part of her life. But over time, she found herself thinking about him more and more. She had been so focused on her career, on making the gallery a success, that she hadn't allowed herself to fully acknowledge the growing connection between them. It wasn't just gratitude anymore, it was something deeper, something she had tried to ignore. One afternoon, as Emma was putting the finishing touches on a new exhibit, Liam stopped by the gallery, as he often did. He had become a regular presence in her life, and though she appreciated his support, she knew that what she felt for him was more than just friendship. He walked up to her, his eyes soft as he watched her work. "How's it going?" he asked, his voice gentle, but there was a hint of concern in it. Emma smiled, looking up at him. "It's good. Busy, but good. This exhibit is coming together nicely." Liam nodded, stepping closer to admire her work. "It always amazes me how you can pour so much of yourself into these pieces. They're not just art, they're your story, your soul." Emma's heart fluttered at his words, and she felt an unexpected wave of emotion wash over her. She had always been careful not to let her personal life get in the way of her work. But now, standing next to him, It felt impossible to ignore how much he had become a part of her life. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice a little shaky. "That means a lot to me." There was a long pause, and for a moment, neither of them said anything. But Emma could feel the unspoken tension in the air, the connection that had always been there. But now it felt like it was reaching a breaking point. She had to say something, had to acknowledge the way she felt. "Liam," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to say this, but I've been thinking a lot about us." Liam looked at her, his expression softening as he stepped closer. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice gentle but curious. Emma took a deep breath, gathering the courage to speak her truth. "I've realized that I care about you, more than I thought I would, more than I've let myself admit." She paused, waiting for his response. "I think I've been afraid of letting my feelings get in the way of everything we've built here. I didn't want to complicate things." Liam was silent for a moment, his eyes searching hers, as if trying to read her emotions. Finally, he spoke, his voice quiet but sincere. "Emma, I care about you too. I've seen everything you've done, everything you've built, and I'm proud of you. But I'm also here for you, as more than just someone who believes in your art. I'm here for you, for all of it, the gallery, the success, and you." Emma felt a rush of relief wash over her at his words. She had been so afraid that her feelings would drive a wedge between them that she had hesitated to acknowledge them. But now, hearing him say that he felt the same way, made everything fall into place. "I didn't want to make things complicated either," Emma admitted. "But I think we're already there, aren't we?" Liam smiled softly, a genuine, warm smile. "Maybe we are," he said, "but I think we can figure it out, together." In that moment, everything felt clearer. Emma realized that the missing piece in her life wasn't just about the success of her gallery or her art. It was about finding someone who truly understood her, someone who cared for her beyond all the achievements. And as she stood there, looking at Liam, she knew that the journey ahead would be one they would navigate together, hand in hand. As Emma stood there with Liam, the weight of her emotions began to settle in. It was as if a door had finally opened. One she had been too afraid to walk through until now. She had spent so much of her life focusing on her career, on proving to herself and the world that she could succeed on her own. But she realized that she didn't have to do everything alone. She didn't have to keep pushing everyone away, including Liam. For the first time, Emma allowed herself to truly let go of the fear that had held her back. She didn't need to be perfect, and she didn't need to carry the weight of everything on her shoulders. There was room in her life for love, for connection, for support. "So, what happens now?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam smiled softly, his eyes filled with understanding. "We take it one day at a time," he said, stepping closer. "We keep building this gallery, this life, and whatever comes next. But we do it together." Emma felt her heart swell as she looked at him. It wasn't just about the gallery anymore. It wasn't just about the success and the art. It was about a future, her future with Liam by her side. "I like the sound of that," she said quietly. As they stood there in the gallery, a quiet understanding passed between them. It was as though they had both been waiting for this moment, for the realization that they didn't need to keep pretending they were okay on their own. They had built something incredible, and now they had the chance to enjoy it, together. The next few months were filled with a new sense of balance for Emma. She had her gallery, her art, and her passion, but now she also had Liam by her side, supporting her in ways she hadn't known she needed. She wasn't alone in her journey anymore. With Liam's help, they worked together to continue growing the gallery, expanding its reach, and giving other artists the opportunity to showcase their work. It was everything Emma had dreamed of, but now it felt even more fulfilling. The love and partnership they shared made the successes sweeter and the challenges more manageable. Emma and Liam's relationship blossomed as they shared quiet moments of laughter, deep conversations, and a shared sense of purpose. They weren't just two people working side by side, they were building a life together, creating something that was bigger than themselves. And as Emma continued to paint, to create, and to inspire, she realized that her art had evolved. It was no longer just an expression of herself, it was a reflection of everything she had learned, of the love and support she had found, and the future she was building with Liam. One evening, as they sat together in the gallery, Watching the sunset through the large windows, Liam turned to Emma, his eyes full of affection. "You know," he began, "this place, this gallery, this life we've built, it's all because you believed in yourself, Emma. You've worked so hard, and I'm so proud of you." Emma smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I couldn't have done it without you," she said softly. "Without your belief in me, I don't think I would have ever gotten this far." Liam reached out and took her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. "We did it together," he said, his voice low and full of conviction. Emma looked around the gallery, her heart full of gratitude. She had built something beautiful, something meaningful. But it was more than just the art on the walls. It was the community, the relationships, and the love that had made it all possible. It was a life she never could have imagined, one that was richer, fuller, and more beautiful than anything she had ever dreamed of. As the night drew to a close, Emma and Liam stood there, side by side, knowing that their journey was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, but they were ready for them. They had each other, and together they could handle anything that came their way. With a quiet smile, Emma squeezed Liam's hand. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" she asked. Liam nodded, his eyes gleaming with the same hope and determination that had brought them together. "Just the beginning," he agreed. And as they stood there, looking out at the world they were building, Emma knew that no matter what the future held, she had found something more valuable than any gallery or exhibition. She had found love. She had found partnership. And she had found a future filled with endless possibilities. It was a future she would face with Liam by her side, and together, they would continue to dream, to create, and to build the life they had always wanted. In this inspiring journey, Emma, a passionate artist, finds her life completely transformed through the unexpected help of a millionaire. She begins as a struggling waitress with a dream of having her own gallery, but with a series of events that start with a mistaken identity, Emma embarks on a journey of success, growth, and self-discovery. This is one of the most compelling millionaire stories, where unexpected connections change everything. With Liam, a successful CEO, offering her support, Emma's dream begins to take shape, and she learns the true power of believing in herself and accepting help when needed. As the story unfolds, Emma not only builds a thriving gallery but also discovers love and partnership in ways she had never imagined. The millionaire stories, like this one, show how even the smallest act of kindness can lead to life-changing opportunities. As Emma and Liam's relationship grows, so does their shared vision of success. This millionaire story proves that with the right support and determination, anything is possible. With challenges ahead, Emma realizes that the real reward isn't just the success of her gallery, but the love and connection she shares with Liam. A tale of passion, transformation, and the kind of love that only grows through trust and mutual respect. This is one of the most heartwarming millionaire stories you will ever hear. If you believe in second chances, dreams coming true, and the power of support, then this millionaire story is for you.